Sunday, April 7th. The first Allied soldiers heading to Norway start to embark on British ships, while the German cruisers Orion, Scharnhorst, and Gneisenau make for the central area of the North Sea with the aim of diverting the attention of the Royal Navy. The diversionary tactic is aimed at preventing the Allies from focusing their attention on the seaborne troops sailing towards Norway. At dusk, they are spotted by an RAF patrol, which attacks with little success. The British Admiralty orders units stationed at Scapa Flow to hunt them down. The Allied intelligence services are confused by these movements, which they believe to be part of the psychological war being waged by Germany, but which are actually attempts to break the Atlantic blockade. The governments of the neutral countries announce that they feel intimidated by the war being carried out by Britain and France against Hitler's Germany, as the Allied countries have threatened Sweden and Norway with the blockade of their territorial waters to cut the transport of iron to the Third Reich. General Kurt Himmer, Chief of the Staff of the German Army, departed towards the Bay of Oslo and sets up his headquarters on the merchant ship Hannestad Danzig, anchored in the bay near the Nedsudden Peninsula. His troops are preparing to take over the Norwegian capital. Monday, April 8th. In the early morning, the British Admiralty informs the Norwegian government that the waters near Narvik have been mined to defend the city from a Nazi landing, German warships having been spotted in the Baltic Sea heading for the area. Operation Wilfred, the mining of Norwegian waters, gives Hitler the perfect excuse to justify the invasion of the country. At dusk, several Wehrmacht divisions crossed the border with Denmark, while German ships disembarked troops in the region of Zealand and the Isle of Fyen. The British destroyer Glowworm intercepts several German ships sailing towards the Scandinavian peninsula. It damages the German destroyer Bernd von Arnim. Then, it confronts the cruiser Admiral Hipper, which, due to its firepower, is able to sink the British destroyer. Though before going down, it manages to ram the German ship, causing serious damage. The news reaching the command centers of the Allies is confusing. As a result, the British and French troops embarking for Norway in transport ships from Scottish bases received the order to remain on land until further notice. The planned landings at Namsos, Narvik, and Aldalsnes are delayed as the Admiralty has detected part of the German fleet sailing towards Trondheim. The Polish submarine Orzel torpedoes the merchant vessel Rio de Janeiro, loaded with German troops heading for Bergen. By now, it is evident that the German invasion of Norway is underway. Tuesday, April 9th. At dawn, the German battleships appear in front of the Norwegian coasts. The landings are to take place simultaneously at 6 different places: Narvik, Drontheim, Bergen, Egersund, Kristiansund, and Oslo. 4 ships seize the fjord at Oslo, and in Narvik, more than 2,000 soldiers land from 10 destroyers. The German troops that crossed the border with Denmark in Operation Weserübung Syd face little Danish resistance. Most of the Danish planes have been destroyed on the ground, and 1,000 German parachutists surround the royal palace where King Christian X discusses German demands. The Danes surrender, but request the right to run their own internal affairs, and Danish Jews are slowly able to move to neutral Sweden. In the second phase of the offensive, Operation Weserübung Nord, soldiers of the Reich land at Oslo, Bergen, Kristiansand, Trondheim, and Narvik. The Kriegsmarine loses 3 cruisers, and an attack against the Admiral Hipper at Trondheim fails, only because the German ship leaves before the arrival of the British fleet. The British mining campaign ends up being a failure. Ribbentrop gathers the press together in one of the conference rooms at the Wilhelmstrasse and informs them that Germany has tried to stop the British government from turning the Nordic countries into a battlefield. Hitler receives the war report of General von Falkenhorst, confirming the success of the operations. He orders that Quisling is to set up a government at Oslo and notifies Mussolini about the occupation. Wednesday, April 10th. The Danish government accepts the ultimatum imposed by Hitler. The country is totally occupied, and the chief of the armed forces, General W. Pryor, signs the surrender of the armies. 10 German destroyers and the 2 cruisers Gneisenau and Scharnhorst are just off the coast of Narvik, which has been occupied. The British admiralship sends 5 destroyers, which, thanks to thick fog, are able to reach the area of Narvik without being detected. The German submarines have not been able to stop their entry inside the Ofoten fjord. Later that day, the British destroyers Hardy, Havekock, and Hunter engage the ships of the Kriegsmarine in the area and sink the Anton Schmidt and the Wilhelm Heidkamp, along with 7 lifeboats. The Germans respond by sinking the Hunter, and the Hardy suffers serious damage. But the other 3 Allied ships are able to escape at full speed. In this first battle of Narvik, the German Commodore Friedrich Bonte dies. The Luftwaffe planes engage in fierce firefights with the ships of the Royal Navy and RAF fighter aircraft, which sink the cruiser Königsberg. U-37, commanded by Werner Hartmann, sinks the Swedish merchant ship Sveaborg and the Norwegian Tosca. U-4, commanded by Hans-Peter Hinch, destroys the British Thistle, but both U-25 and U-51 inform their command center that they are experiencing problems with their torpedoes. Thursday, April 11th. The French Prime Minister, Paul Reynaud, announces to the Senate that the Allied ships are prepared to block the coasts of Norway and that a squadron formed by cruisers and destroyers has crossed the Straits of Gibraltar and is heading towards Britain. At the same time, the British government orders that a contingent of troops is to set sail from the port of Clyde for the coast of Narvik. Meanwhile, RAF airplanes bomb a variety of targets in Norway. King Haakon VII calls on Norwegians to use all available means to resist the Nazi occupation. Though Norwegians hope that their army of 25,000 men, commanded by General Otto Ruge, will shortly receive Allied support. As it stands, it is poorly organized and faces serious shortages in armaments. Nevertheless, the militias which comprise the different groups of the resistance have been able to eliminate more than 200 soldiers of the Reich in different actions. General Falkenhorst, commanding the German troops, orders the infantry divisions to move from Oslo towards Trondheim to support the forces which control the coastal areas and that are set to occupy the interior of the country. Donitz sends a flotilla of submarines to reinforce those already operating in Norwegian waters. In Western Europe, the Belgian army finds itself on alert, having received news from the intelligence service of a possible German invasion. Friday, April 12th. First Lord of the Admiralty, Winston Churchill, argues in the House of Commons that the invasion of the Nordic countries was prepared by Hitler months beforehand. Allied troops occupy the Danish Faroe Islands, while several troop contingents embark on a mission to land near Narvik in support of the Norwegian resistance, and then to move on to Swedish territory in order to destroy the iron mines at Galavar. RAF aircrafts unsuccessfully attacked the German cruisers Gneisenau, Scharnhorst, and Admiral Hipper, which had been anchored in the Bay of Kristiansand and were now returning to their base at Wilhelmshaven. Mussolini, emulating Hitler, orders his armies to occupy Albania. The French Prime Minister, Renault, declares that the Polish and French fleets are fighting alongside the British against the forces of the Third Reich. The American government decides to interrupt commercial relations with Norway and Denmark. In the naval war, U-37, commanded by Werner Hartmann, sinks the British merchant ship Stancliffe. The commanders of the U-Boot-Waffe receive the information that the British are planning to carry out landings at Namsos and Andalsnes. Donitz orders a submarine flotilla to this area of the Norwegian coast.